Best way that you want to invest in real estate is understanding how to use an IUL and a real estate in your strategy. So, a couple of years ago, we learned about life insurance in a completely different way. And we said, wow, this is crazy. See, I didn't know that the banks used it in their balance sheet to be able to offset risk when it went down to investing. That's like fractional reserve banking. So, when we started learning these strategies, we said, wow, how can we implement this in our real estate strategy when it comes down to buying homes? When we did that, it grew our portfolio in a very amazing way. So I want to share a few tips on what you should do when you want to buy real estate and combine it with buying an IUL policy. First thing is this. You want to sit and take your IUL. You will first want to get an IUL policy, Index Universal Life policy. Your goal is to find one that not only gives you good returns and it gives you good potential in the market, but it also gives you a lot of liquidity. You want to have it have a lot of capabilities to be able to pull money out as fast as possible. Now, why is this? Depending on when you want to make those particular real estate plays, right? Like if you want to make it in 12 months, you can't get a policy where it's going to say you can't touch that money for the next, 12, 24 months because they're out there. So if you're like, I want to make, a real estate deal within the next 8 to 10 months, you want to look at something that's more liquid. Now, the other thing is you want to look at that same liquidity. You want to see how you can access. So, like mine, I use a company where it's very easy for me to access it through my phone. I can go on their app and I can access it. So that's one of the main tips too. Now, second thing that you want to think about is going to be not just how much money you want to put in the policy, but what the value of that real estate property is going to be, because that's going to be very big on how you design it when it comes down to the down payment that you're going to put into that policy. Now, I know some people is like, oh man, I'm going to be using FHA, but if you're more on the conventional side, you're going to put 20% down. You want to have that 20% making sure that, yes, you know to put that inside the policy. But at the same time, you want to make sure that that policy's value is very similar to that real estate. Now, here's the biggest reason. When you do that, it gives you the opportunity that after you invested into that property, you pulled money from your insurance policy, invested in a property, then you're able to, as you get equity, to be able to take money back out of that policy again as it grows and put it inside of another project. This is one of the key things. So then the number three thing that I would tell you is going to be very simple. I would definitely have a strategy. Now, this is me. I didn't like to do a lot of flips with it. I like long-term investing because with my policy, I would like to have it set up to where my renters are not just going to pay my mortgage, but I also want them to pay my premiums. That means that I'm not just, I put my initial money in the policy, and yeah, I'm paying for the IUL policy for initially, and I take the money and I put it into the property. But then once it's actually starting to grow and my plan is starting to grow, well, my renters not only pay the mortgage, they're at least paying the minimum that we need to on the premium. And as we're growing in equity, it's pretty much costing me nothing to run the strategy. Just like the property should really not cost you anything over time because you have renters and you have equity. Well, guess what? The IUL is going to be the exact same thing. Now, here's the key to this. The key to it is to make sure that when you do the strategy, of course, you have to make sure you get the right real estate property. I mean, that's a given, right? If you get a terrible deal, then that sucks. But here's the good part about that: if you do get a terrible deal, you still had your policy that gonna do what help you mitigate some of those risks. Now, best thing is, and here's the key: I want to make sure that the policy is designed and the real estate property is designed to grow at the same time. When it grows at the same time, after a couple of years, I can now pull from the policy and from the property. Both of them have equity to buy more property. And if I need to in the future, I may have to buy another insurance policy. But if it's designed right from the jump, then you don't have to. Pro tip: if you know you're going to want to have, maybe 5 to 10 properties, whether it's, duplex, fourplex, single family homes, if you know that's something that you want to do and you're going to really be a player, go ahead and plan for that from the beginning. Go ahead and plan for that when you're first initially getting your policy. So that's the first tips that I want to give you on this. Hey, how to buy real estate with insurance policies and IUL. If you want to learn more, definitely go to newmodernwealth.com, be able to sit down and do a consultation. We have a lot of different options. We have many different tools there, but you can do a consultation, you can do a free consultation, or you want more direct advice because you're sitting down with other advisors, we have that solution there. The other thing is you got to make sure you follow and you got to make sure you subscribe because if you like this information, of course, on our page, you got plenty of more things to listen to when it comes down to real estate, fractional reserve banking, money, and just basic tips for building wealth for yourself. Remember, with New Modern Wealth, it doesn't matter if you came from a wealthy family can come from you.